Three men and a teenager have been convicted of the murder of Billy Henham at a New Year's Eve party in Brighton in 2019. Billy was viciously beaten unconscious before being thrown over a balcony on January the 1st, 2020. He suffered 67 separate injuries in the attack. His attackers then stripped his body naked and cleaned him with disinfectant in a desperate attempt to cover their tracks and destroy any forensic evidence linking them to the crime. William Billy Henham was described as a gentle, peaceful and kind, and just a few hours before his brutal death, the 24-year-old had been seen singing, dancing and smiling in a Brighton nightclub. Later that night, the former student had been subjected to a sustained and significant fatal assault from punches, kicks, stamps and a broken stair spindle. The court heard his injuries included 11 rib fractures to both sides of his body, extensive bruising to his scalp, face and neck, a deep cut to his forehead and a brain injury. Billy, who had studied film and photography at a university in southeast London and lived with his parents in West Sussex, was then dropped over a balcony railing from a height of just under 11 foot. His clothing, apart from his red Puma trainers, were never recovered, while traces of disinfectant were later found in his hair. Blood-stained areas where he had been beaten also appeared to have been diluted. But a jury at Maidstone Crown Court in Kent was told that despite the severity of his injuries, Mr. Henham would have been alive for at least an hour after the violent attack. His battered, lifeless body was eventually discovered by police on the evening of January the 2nd, laying in a recess area on a roof terrace at a former office block hotel and restaurant complex. The building in North Street had been occupied by squatters at the time, with up to 50 people attending the New Year's Eve party. One resident later recalled hearing a man screaming in pain from a room he described in court as the torture chamber. Gregory Hawley, who's 29, Dushane Meikle, who's 28, Lamech Gordon-Carew, who's 20, and an 18-year-old Alize Spence all denied murder, but were found unanimously guilty. None of the four knew or had previously met Mr. Henham. The verdicts for each defendant were taken individually due to security issues in the dock. They will be sentenced at a later date to life imprisonment by Justice Kavanagh, who will also set the minimum terms to be served before they are eligible for parole. The trial heard Hawley, who ran the squat, was seen on New Year's Day with a container of disinfectant and cloth saying, "We've killed someone last night," and having to clean up the mess. He also confessed to how he had seen Mr. Henham take his last breath, while Gordon-Carew was said to have boasted about what they had done off Middlesex and Gordon-Carew, Hawley and Spence, who was just 16 at the time, were arrested at another squat in Brighton the day after Mr. Henham's body had been discovered. When Meikle was arrested on January the 9th, 2020, police seized his phone and later found 2 deleted photos of Mr. Henham's body on the roof terrace. The first of him was partially clothed and laying on his left side. The second showed him naked, laying on his back and in different areas of the recess. The prosecution said that although the motive of the murder was unclear, it was said Hawley claimed Mr. Henham had been killed for being leery and mouthy. At the start of their trial, the prosecutor James Mulholland QC said all 4 had either joined in the physical attack on Mr. Henham or deliberately helped or encouraged one or more of the others to do so. Billy Henham was subjected to a sustained assault before his body was dropped over a balcony, and he was found naked, laying on his back on a low-level outdoor roof terrace. Shortly after his death, 2 of the defendants, Gregory Hawley and Lamech Gordon-Carew, boasted to others about what they had done to Mr. Henham. The prosecution's case is that each defendant either joined in the physical attack upon Billy Henham or deliberately helped, encouraged the others to do so. Each intended in doing so that he be caused at least really serious injury, and they are all guilty of murder. Forensic evidence showed the attack started in a room on the 2nd floor before a bleeding Mr. Henham had been dragged to another room on the 1st floor where the beating continued before he was thrown unconscious onto the roof terrace and left to die. Having all been arrested by Sussex police and subsequently released within days of his body being found, it was not until May last year that the defendants were charged after forensic evidence linked them which was said to have linked them to the murder through their DNA, their fingerprints, bloodstained clothing, and trainer marks. Only Hawley and Gordon-Carew gave evidence at trial. They both maintained they did not see Mr. Henham at the party, were unaware of any assault taking place, and had no involvements in his death. Meikle, who was a drill music producer, told police when interviewed after his initial arrest that he had found Mr. Henham's naked body whilst exploring the building. He said he gave it a nudge, but there was no response and he returned to the party. After he was confronted by officers on his rearrest about the images found on his phone, he declined to comment. The trial was originally estimated to last up to 6 weeks when it started in November, but it was BS with problems mainly COVID related and continued for 13 weeks. The jury's dedication, which included offering to sit longer hours in court and one juror giving up a planned holiday, was praised by Mr. Justice Kavanagh. Mr. Henham's father and mother and brother attended court every day. Mr. Henham had spent Christmas with his family but wanted to see in the new year in a lively atmosphere, the court heard. He was dropped off in Brighton by his dad at around 7:30 p.m. and at 2 a.m. he was at the Concord 2 nightclub where a doorman later described him as being happy enough in a world of his own. He was jigging about to the drum and bass music and singing to himself. He wasn't causing any harm and had half a smile on his face. Court was told that the last sighting of Mr. Henham had been captured on CCTV at around R4 in the morning on New Year's Day outside the All Sorts off licence. The store was diagonally opposite the squat where Mr. Henham would be dead just a few hours later. Subsequent tests showed that although he had been drinking, there was no evidence of drug taking. One of those living in the building, Philip Mallier, told the court, as he and his partner were looking on the first floor for a place to bed down for the night, he heard a male voice screaming in pain from inside one of the rooms. A man he later identified as Meikle then opened the door and bluntly told him to fuck off. Others, including a young woman crying, were said to be stopping people from walking along the landing. In a statement read out in court, Ian Henham recalled that when he dropped off his son that night, he was in a positive mood and he just wanted to have a nice evening. Absolute madness, guys. It's a story coming from Brighton ways where 4 people have been convicted of murdering Billy Henham at a New Year's Eve party, and they left him with 67 separate injuries and threw him off a building. What is the world coming to, guys? I just want to say rest in peace, Billy, and my condolences go out to your family. It's your boy GT. Keep it locked, keep it real. So guys, over on my other channel, Crimecast, I've released a new video, and it's about a father of a TikTok star who shot dead her stalker outside their family home. So I'll put it in the link in the description below. You can go and check it out, and please subscribe to this channel, and also go over there and show some love and subscribe to that channel also. I'll be uploading regularly on there as well, so make sure you keep up to date with the latest news.